So I picked 20,000 miles as just an arbitrary number to adjust the brakes on the truck. And the front ones appear to be fine. And I really can't remember what their little decimal clearance was, but I'm just getting them close, right? They appear to be fine, which makes sense since I put those together about 6,000 miles ago. This front one, way out, I ratcheted it up a number of turns on one of the two adjusters, not the other. The other wheel on the other side appears to be fine. And then this one, because I don't trust what directions the adjusters turn, I dropped the bottom shroud so I could physically check it. And you might have remembered last spring where I had the brake return springs fail in that wheel, and then they rattle around and beat everything to hell, and ended up breaking off the mounts here for the brake cans. Well, I dropped that lower shroud. Broken springs in that one. I really don't see how what we do with the tour truck is doing this. I mean, I go up and down the mountains all day long, although there's only people in it, so it's basically empty. And we're always, we're never over 20 miles an hour at any point. And, I use the engine as much as I can, but I'm sure I'm stepping on the brakes a fair bit. But the idea that these brake springs have broken now on two, it's entirely possible that the same soldier or mechanic put both these together, and it would make sense that that mechanic would have possibly made the same mistake twice. Though it's not like the front wheels where you can flip those things around and the hub will grind on it. There's really no way to do that in here. The springs are somewhat interchangeable. So as long as they're in, they're in. Maybe he overstretched them, getting them off. I don't know. At this point, you're either looking at brake components that are basically made of glass, or some serious mechanical failures on the part of the individuals putting them together in the motor pool. I've never been in this wheel. This will be my first time into this wheel. I'd never been into that wheel. And let's see, I'd been in that one over there once before. So I don't know what to tell you, except that if you own one of these things, you can't see that from the inspection port. Okay? It's not visible. I've now got crap jammed underneath of here, and basically holding that shoe applied. Ironically, I just finished driving at 300 miles home, and none of my hubs got hot, and none of my drums appeared to be in any way warm. But if you remember, that very first year, that truck I drove home from Colorado had no grease on the inner front wheel bearing, and that thing was just a roasted, toasted mess. That hub never made any noise and got warm either. So, I think if you own one of these things, remember a couple of years back when I said, holy crap, all the springs are loose and you need to go around the truck and put a big wrench on every one of your spring hanger bolts? Sorry, fire plane going over the top. Or helicopter, I guess. You need to put a wrench on every one of your spring hanger bolts, because every one of mine was loose, and about a half dozen people went back and went, holy mother Jesus, there was loose bolts all over out there. Well, I think that each and every one of you needs to drop your bottom brake shroud and have yourself a little squint inside there. If you know how it's happening, absolutely. You get the internet trolls, oh, well, you just drive it wrong. Well, you tell me how driving it at 20 miles an hour day after day after day, 5,000 miles at a season, is driving it wrong. And if it is driving it wrong, then you tell me how the U.S. military managed to bring freedom to the deserts driving trucks that crap themselves every couple of thousand miles. I just don't get it. The fact that we lost both of them on the same rear axle, my gut tells me that Soldier A and Soldier B in some motor pool made a mistake. If I had to guess, I'd say they way overstretched the springs when they were removing them and doing some checks. That's my gut feeling, is that they have been damaged that way. Other than that, I just don't know. I pulled the shrouds on that wheel. I'm going to pull the shrouds on that wheel, and obviously I have to take this whole frickin' thing back apart, which is not what I wanted to do, but I am so happy that I found that, and I think all of you should take a look too. Remember, you can't see it from the inspection ports. You can't. You're gonna have to drop the shroud. It's 2 half-inch drive bolts. You just get an extension, get in there, get it off. What a mess.